for me, it definitely came down to networking. So that means like going to conferences, like learning to not be afraid to talk about what you're doing, because that used to be like really scary for me, you know? And it was like actually through doing that and actually doing that with a coworker who put me in touch with like her friend who ended up being my investor. Like you never know, like as long as I'm careful to do it at work now because
who's this entrepreneur who's trying to like buck the system?
Right?
Wait a minute.
Why aren't you committed to your job 110%?
The financing's key. I'd like to ask a couple more questions about that. So you mentioned a private lender, which you didn't do at first, but now you were local. And tell me the reason you went out and looked for the private lender. Was it just because you couldn't get a loan, or was it more the access to the money? Like I know some people ask me that because I've used a lot of private loans too. What was your reason for trying to pursue getting a private loan on the duplex?
Well, that actually kind of came to me. So it was someone who had seen like who I become friends with, who had seen kind of my progress over the last couple of years. And he also wanted to invest and saw it as an opportunity to learn and to also make some money with someone he trusted, you know? So he actually came to me and was like, hey, if you want to work together. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I don't have like every penny I make, I reinvest pretty quickly outside of my reserves, you know, and maybe sometimes dipping into my reserves, but no judgment, right?
No, you made it work. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll still get back to work.
Basically, yes. So I wanted a private investor because I'm not like capital is one of the finite resources in investing. It's capital and it's deals, you know, and it's like I didn't have the capital at the time. And being a cash buyer allows you more power in negotiations. You can close more quickly, you know, and then that also more easily allows for like the Burr formula to work, where you can leave less cash in the deal, you know? So those were all things I wanted to do, but I didn't have the cash available. But I knew I could make it work with like monthly payments and then getting a tenant in and getting it rehabbed and all of that stuff. So that was really why I just took on one. And now I know like I can maybe do two at the same time now or something like that. Like I can make those wheels go faster.
Yeah. Cause you knew you're running your numbers. You're a good analysis person on the deal, but you just knew that the capital, you could only do one deal at a time or even less. You know, you had to wait if you did it by yourself, but now having another private lender, again, it lets you accelerate your progress. And you're not going to do anything crazy because you're conservative. You're going to make sure the rent covers the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, and you're going to make sure you have a refinance loan that can pay this private lender off on the back end.
Trickier now that COVID's hit, because I closed on this property February 14th, which is like just a couple weeks. But thankfully, there was enough margin in the deal to where, unless the entire refi like breaks down with 2 weeks to go, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, and some people ask me questions about private loans and finding your private lender. And I know not everybody has access to people who have money. You know, that's the reality that a lot of us are in. You don't know people that have like, who has money? Like I know none of my friends have money, none of my family has money. So can you talk about that step that you mentioned? You networked, you met people. You know, I think that's a big leap for a lot of people. Like, where am I going to find people who would even loan money to me? That just seems like not something I couldn't comprehend for some people listening.
No, like that makes sense. And I was actually listening to one of your more recent podcasts. I think it was with Lisa, and she talked about like low income housing, and she was talking about how people don't talk about generational wealth or different areas in which money can come from. And that resonated so deeply with me because like you really don't like. No man is an island, especially in real estate, you know, like you have to find a way to make money or to get the money, and nobody talks about where it comes from, you know? And so like, I didn't have like that generational wealth. I don't have like family to rely on with this. And so like, for me, it definitely came down to networking. So that means like going to conferences, like putting your name out there, learning to not be afraid to talk about what you're doing, because that used to be like really scary for me, you know? And it was like actually through doing that with a coworker who put me in touch with like her friend who ended up being my investor. Like you never know, like as long as I'm careful to do it at work now because
who's this entrepreneur who's trying to like buck the system?
Right?
Wait a minute.
Why aren't you committed to your job 110%? You should not have a side hustle.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's really about like building, like, it's just making friends. Like, we keep talking about building that network, but it's like making friends who are legitimately on the same page as you and who know people. And like everyone has to help each other, finding ways to help them, having them be like-minded, finding ways to help you. Like, it's really not that hard if you learn to put yourself out there and how to present yourself. But the only way to do that is through practice. So
yeah, going back to our emotional intelligence and conversations with people, and money's a tough one. I mean, gosh, some people, I feel fortunate that my dad was an entrepreneur investor, and my mom had was a dentist and made money. So it was like money was talked about. Not all families talk about it, but then when you go and ask somebody for money, like, there's no doubt, like, people freeze up. It's like you get all these self-esteem. Are they going to loan money to me? Wait a minute, I'm just a new investor, or I'm this age, or I'm that age, or this situation. And the conversation with Lisa helped me learn a lot about just the fact that, there's different obstacles everybody has. Like, we are all unique. We have different approaches. We have different life experiences. But at the end of the day, like, all of us have to have a strategy, which you're talking about here. You got to have a strategy because you got to get the money. Like, even if you don't have any family members or friends, you've got to reach out to people and make it a strategy, make it a game. And at least my experience has been like these networking, like at Bigger Pockets or local RIA groups, like, or local meetups, real estate meetups, are some of the best candidates for the people who are going to be like-minded, who they also like real estate like you. And if they see somebody like Suni, who is competent, who knows her stuff, who's educated, who's good communicator, there are people there who will loan you money. Like, they really are. And you might have to go through multiple people and have some obstacles to get there, but there are people who have money who want to put it with somebody like Suni, who's a good investor. And there's going to be people like you who are listening. There's people out there who will loan you money, because think about it. They got their money sitting there. They're kind of nervous about the stock market. They're a real estate person anyway. And they know you, they trust you, they've seen you, they like real estate. And when you realize that, and they realize there are people who will fund your deals, it opens up an enormous potential to start growing like Suni's done, where you can buy more properties and start accelerating what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think the way you think about that, like, that relationship is also really important. So, like, there are two ways you can kind of go about it. Like, it can be like me going, I need money. Can you please give me money? Or that's not going to go so well.
Doesn't work as well. Yes.
No. But what it really is like almost a symbiotic relationship where both sides benefit, and you have to structure it so that it's a win-win, So, like, my investor is stoked. He is like so happy. So he's like on the fire path, and he had a bunch of stuff in stocks that he liquidated in mid-February. He's been getting a solid interest rate for I literally handed him like an envelope full of checks, like post-dated. And I was like, here, cash them when you want, like, for the next 6 months until I refinance you, And so, like, he's been getting these steady payments, literally not having to do anything other than open up his app and like download the check, while the stock market like crashed during COVID, this, that, and the other. And so it, like, when we are in uncertain times, like we are now, if you can get a good property that's really undervalued, it's really good for your private investor to have a play that is like solid, because like with the way these deals are set up, they have fixed interest rate, or they have like the mortgage on the property. I won't do anything unless my investor has a mortgage on the property, because like I want them to win no matter what, right? And like the property's worth more than what they lent me. That's the only way my business model works with the BRRRR, right? Mm-hmm. So like, it's really about understanding how to make both sides win at this to be able to get those investors interested, and to make sure you have the confidence to go to the table, because you're not begging.
Thanks for watching that interview with Suni Rao. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the full interview, be sure to look at the link to my podcast below. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. Let me know if you have any feedback, any questions for me or for Suni. Always love to have a discussion with you in the comments section. And if you like this topic of financial independence and how to use real estate to do that, I think you'll like the playlist that I've shared with you below in the show description. And you can also see the link in the video above to a playlist of other videos on financial independence, interviews I've done with people like Mr. Money Mustache and other people just on their journey to financial independence, and also some with me just sharing some tips and strategies on how you can achieve financial independence. So check that out if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching Coach Carson TV. This is a channel all about investing in real estate, achieving financial independence, and doing more of what matters. My name is Chad Carson. You can call me Coach, and I'll see you next time.